Hey, we're back with our retiree lifestyle, talking about our Whoppers. Yes, we have Whoppers for you today. Stick around, got something for everyone. And we're homeschooling homesteaders turned world travelers. And recently it's been, well, I'll show you, we're still here at the beach and we're in Mexico at the moment. And this year has been the windiest year that we've had since we've been here a couple of years now. And it's really difficult to make videos outside, although I love being outside at the beach. And I love showing you the beach. I just love nature and all. But I got a lot to talk to you about. There's a lot going on. And the first Whopper is... Did you all see that video about those supposedly, allegedly, the aliens landing over there in somebody's yard in Las Vegas? Now, I don't know what you guys think, but I mean, it's something that gets your curiosity, right? It's like, oh no, I gotta watch this, of course, right away, knowing, you know, it's just silly. But even if I was somebody that didn't really know and was like, is there aliens? Just watching how the news reported the event was just a revelation in and of itself, because the things the guy was saying made no sense. He said the homeowners had cameras in the yard, right? Because how else would you have gotten a snippet of, you know, the aliens landing in the yard, right? Because if they had no cameras, well, then you wouldn't get the snippet. But the cameras turned off right when the aliens were landing, or landed. I don't know if I'm getting the exact facts straight. But the cameras turned off as the aliens were landing, and then the cameras just magically turned back on after they landed. I don't know if anyone other than myself is busting up laughing or shaking their heads or just regarding it just as a simple cartoon. It's like a cartoon, you know. It's something silly. I don't know, am I the only one that, I mean, I know when I heard it, it was like, yeah, right. E.T. phone home. Let's get all the little children groomed into believing that this is wonderful, fuzzy little E.T. guy is gonna phone home and he needs your help. And so these extraterrestrials, they're so advanced that they can fly from one galaxy to the next galaxy, but they can't talk. And out of all places to be landing, you know, just land in somebody's yard. Well, normally when things crash, people don't survive. I mean, we can see that there's something standing there in the yard and all, but what is it really? You know, what is it? I mean, is it an alien from outer space, or is it some robot? You know, they got robotics now. They're saying they don't need people, and they got all these robots that can do everything. So how much of a stretch really is it to say, well, okay, let's just make a robotic alien? That's not much of a stretch at all. Well, I find it interesting that the alien is landing or crashing in someone's yard. Out of the thousands of years they could have done this and there's no record of it, they end up doing it during a specific period of time when robotics are available. Let me know in the comments, is that suspicious to you? My next Whopper . Georgia, apparently Georgia is going to, or is digitizing their identification systems. Now, this identification systems and this digitizing idea, we have to understand, where did all of this begin? When did, like, our identification, our personal information become something that other people can make decisions about? Like, I know that like my eyes are brown and my hair's brown and now it's got some gray in it, whatever. Those are my features. You know, I'm this tall and weigh this much, whatever. Those are my personal identification features. They're specific to me and who I am. They aren't there to be granted to someone else to do as they please. So that's the first principle. And there are other principles. Before you think, where's this guy coming off? Let me just give you a little history on this, a little background on it. Because I know what people are thinking. They're thinking, wow, you gotta have this, you gotta have that, because that's how we grew up. This is what we grew up in. And through the process of incrementalism, we just find ourselves boiled. And how did it all happen? And so back in the day, when you look at ancient writings and you look at record keeping, and when I go into history, I go way back. I don't go back 30 years. I go way back. And you see that there's a record. I never knew this, by the way, until I started reading ancient writings, also known as the Bible. And you see that it starts out with a family tree. And it says, Adam and Eve, and then, Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel, and then Cain and Abel had, and it's got all these names, and you can literally follow the whole family tree and all of where everybody was born, the son of so-and-so and the son of so-and-so, and that's how they referred to people back then. Ancestry, they referred to, oh, well, that's Frank, the son of, John and Mary or whatever, and that's how people were known and referred to. In the historical record, it was well enough to identify people by their family tree, to say, well, that's the son of so-and-so, and these are the sons of them, and these are, like that. Nowhere in that history, because you can see the whole history there, and I recommend you go read it, and as boring as that sounds, it proves a point that people were identified, but nowhere do you see anywhere, and I mean nowhere, do you see anywhere their personal details as they are gathered from people this day and age. You know what they are. Numbers. That people's being numbered. Nowhere do you see that. And people used to record when someone was born, but they recorded it in their personal record-keeping system. Typically, it would have been in the Bible, and they would have kept that record in the Bible. Matter of fact, I have bought Bibles that were old, from the 60s and 70s, from a thrift shop, and I open it up and I see somebody's, marriage date and birth of their sons, and so people were still doing this even 60 years ago, and it was enough if you lived in a town or a village where people knew you and you kept a record of the marriage and there were witnesses. This kind of identification was for people on a local level. It was for people that you dealt with on a daily basis. If there was a question about anything, you had a record, you had witnesses. If mom and dad died, we have a record that they wrote. They were the sons and daughters of so-and-so and this, what have you. What I'm getting at here is that the records that we see in the ancient historical writings doesn't go beyond that level. And so what's happened is that we've morphed into a different system where now people they have personal identifying numbers beyond the level of information that we are given as a record-keeping system in the ancient scriptures. And so that the differentiation that's going on here is that in that day, even that kind of record-keeping system was designed for local use. It was never designed for somebody across the world to know what day somebody in this village was married, who they were married to, who their children were, and this kind of thing. And so what we have now is a different system where anyone from across the globe or any stranger can instantaneously access your personal details. These are complete strangers. When you look at the identification systems of what governments are doing today, and they're going to the next level with digitizing, and they're telling us that they can share that information. A lot of times you fill out government paperwork and they'll tell you in the little fine print that they can share this information with any governments, foreign governments, or just there's no end and no boundaries anywhere. And the Fourth Amendment, that's why that was created. It was to, the right to be secure in your person. That's what that means. Your person, your papers, your personal belongings, your personal self, your personal details. That's what that was there for. And we've gone way beyond that. And now anybody can hack. Case in point, my next Whopper. This Whoppers kind of morph. A while back ago, backtracking a little bit into the previous, that the credit reporting agencies were hacked, and how many millions of people's personal information, sand is blowing in my eyeballs, and people think, oh, we're making progress, and so we're digitizing. The internet is so great. Why, we got blockchain and we got Bitcoin, and those are all great things, and we can use the internet and we can talk to people across the globe and all this wonderful thing that we can do, and we can travel around and be location independent and blah blah blah. And now what happened? And so any hacker, just like in the credit reporting agencies that got hacked, and everybody's personal info was stolen by complete strangers, thieves. That because we have systems that use these sort of identifying systems to be able to function in society, in some societies, not all societies, is the whole reason why the thieves can turn around and use those to do bad things with them. Because if you were a person in a village where day to day, like back in the old Little House on the Prairie days when Charles just got in his carriage and went down the road, he just did it. There wasn't any special identification systems he had to plug into to do it. That's called freedom or liberty. And so, just to say that if anybody got privy to somehow his personal information, they wouldn't be able to do anything with it anyway, because they were in a system based on liberty that did not require. You see what I'm saying here? Do you see where I'm going? Do you see what I'm saying here? I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just telling you this is what's happening. What are we going to do about it? All right, moving on to the next Whopper. Let's not get so serious, but that's what's happening. Serious stuff, folks. And here's another thing. Years ago, we went to Panama, and this one's about Panama. And this was years ago, this was like 7 years ago or something. But it's the kind of thing that happens to a lot of these places that are really small. And I've been saying this for years. I've been saying this for 12 years. These places are so tiny, and they get an avalanche of people showing up, all doing the same thing. And Panama caved in to the globalist New World Order agenda. When I was first talking to the banks, and I spent like a whole week literally hitting the pavement talking to all the banks. And they were so communist it wasn't even funny. They said specifically, out of all the policies designed to exclude anyone that wasn't communist, and I know that people go there because of the reasons that they go there, and that worked for a while, but then they started saying things like, no, we won't take your account if you do any crypto. No crypto. You can do business, you can do business offshore, but no crypto. And I'm saying all that to say they went that way all these years, and now just recently it comes out that Panama is to make Bitcoin legal method of payment. So I'm just saying things are always in a flux, and that's the hope that we can have, that things are in a flux and sometimes things change. But we also need to know the score about what's really happening in some of these places. And so it's just like we can't really just go and you ask me, yeah, they didn't want any crypto business, and I'm a Bitcoin guy, so no, they didn't get my business. You see what I'm saying? So they didn't get my business, and but now things are changing, and they want to make Bitcoin legal method of payment, which is to say also 0% capital gains tax, because you don't pay a tax on your currency. So this Bitcoin thing, it is a thing. It's taking hold. And speaking of which, moving on to my next Whopper. There's so much to talk about. I could literally, these videos could be a lot longer, but it's really hard to build a channel like this with this subject matter on certain platforms. So we're sharing our videos on a variety of different platforms now, so you're welcome to them. You know what they are, and if you don't, you can also find us on BitChute and Brighteon. And we're just now getting it's the middle of June, and we're just now getting like sunny days. It's been so overcast almost all day for like 8 months, 9 months straight. And now we finally have the kind of weather that you would expect here. But the clouds seem to never be all that far away.